Hello and welcome everyone to the Unified Advanced League Winners interviews here for the 2022 spring season. This is where we'll be going over and talking to some of the teams that have won their streamed matches here with the UAL, and I think it's a very, very fun thing to be able to do and give these players a little bit of a spotlight. For this week, we will have Colorado State University Rams coming in and talking with us after their win over Purdue Northwest, a great way to kick off the season and to get to know one of their players, Keetchie. Keetchie, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I know you can't see me right now, but unfortunately, OBS only allows me to use or handle one camera at a time. But I want to say congratulations on the Week 1 victory in the Unified Advanced League with your win with the Colorado State University. The Rams taking it home 2-0 fashion. How are you feeling?
Feels great. It's always nice to start the league with a win. Winning your first game in like all competitions sets you up in a great spot for tiebreakers and for upcoming matches. Just a nice safety net. So really glad to get that 2-0.
Oh yeah, and of course with the opening, I do want to ask, as a team that has come in, I do believe you did play in the Upsurge Premier League before as well, so you have a bit of experience, moving around there. Is this your first season in the UAL, and if so, how does it kind of compare with the UPL?
Yeah, this is our first year in UAL. In previous years, we had a slightly higher ranked roster, so we were able to compete in UPL. And this year, we're still equally excited to be in UAL. Actually, I'd say more excited because we had a wide rank disparity between Diamond and Challenger on previous rosters, and so that made it hard in UPL. And in UAL, it feels like we're a little bit closer, all being in the Master, Grandmaster, and maybe Diamond 1 range. And so it's really nice to get more competitive games. It's hard to say just off the first match. Purdue is a great team. Oh, there goes my light. But in the UPL, you're going against teams that are fighting for scouting grounds, maybe a pro slot, things like that. So the competition is absurd in UPL, but we had a great first match in UAL too. It was really competitive. So I'm excited for the next few.
Yeah, and diving into it, let's just start with game number 1, right? That was, I almost want to call it the experimentation of the new season, right? Game 1, you brought out some fantastic picks. In the top lane, your team brought out the Soraka, which has been standard in that routine. But, of course, you getting Zerios open and you pretty much napped that up first pick. Was that a personal choice, or was that the team going, we got to follow the meta? How'd you feel about that one?
A little bit of both. I think the team trusts me if I say that a certain marksman is good here, but the whole team agrees. If Zeri gets through on blue side, you take it, blue one, every time in this current patch. I honestly think even after the nerfs on next patch, she's going to be a blue one. It's pretty surprising that she even gets through to red in the recent LCK games. The champ is too good. She has an exploitable lane phase, which was demonstrated in game 1. We had a split map disadvantage for the bot side against the Nautilus Samira. So you're already under a ton of pressure, but I think I sacked maybe a total of 4 waves due to dive threat, and after that, the champ's online. Like in the last fight, I think I had like 740 move speed at one point. It's ridiculous. The champ's great. If Zeri's open blue one, we'll take it every game.
Yeah, and I think that's how the meta shakes up. So already having a great grasp of the meta. However, the downside, of course, with that stylization, right, running that extra support in the top side, I do have to ask, because you were down about 4K at one point. The fights pretty much prior to about 25 minutes were not always going in your favor. Even pre-20 minutes, it was feeling like you guys were getting encroached on there. Were you still confident throughout the game? Was this something that was within your calculations, or was this something that you're like, well, maybe we might have to go back to the drawing board later to kind of shore up for week 2 and week 3?
Yeah, our early game in both games today struggled a little bit. I think part of that is we had some missteps around our wave manipulation bot lane, which then made it awkward for our jungle pathing. And part of that is our support, Dylan, is newer to the competitive scene compared to the other 4 of us that have more experience, but he's learning quickly. And I think, by week 5 or 6 or, the rest of our CLOL competitions and whatnot, that'll maybe be a little bit stronger. But aside from just that, I think Youngse made some mechanical misplays top to die to Malphite. And so that starts to make it hard, but it really, even being down 4K gold, we were confident in our ability to execute fights. Their team was so wombo-oriented of Malphite, Orianna, Samira. Every fight, we talked through our checklist of, hey, are we in a choke here? And every time we start navigating into an objective, we'd be clear to say this is a choke, like split our enchanters on left and right so they can't both get womboed. And really, we just say, hey, does Soraka have E for Samira? Does the AD have exhaust for Samira? And then does Lulu have poly for Samira? If one of those 3 things are up, we play through our fight. It worked. And outside of our own mechanical misplays, I think the draft was solid.
Yeah, and I have to agree. Great handle on the current meta, great read on what you can and can't do. In game two, you also showed the exact same thing. You touched on it a little bit. Yeah, still a few of the early mechanical errors, but still felt pretty competitive, especially with a more, I want to say, a standardized composition that we've seen in previous seasons. However, the star between both games, you mentioned a little bit at the top, but let's really, it was you. Your score lines were phenomenal, and through both games, it felt solid. Is the team more focused around you specifically, or was that how the series kind of shaped out? Fantastic scores of, I believe, series one was 11-4-7 at the end of it, and then second series was 11-2-8 on a champion that you even said prior to this was one of your favorites, if not the favorite ADC that you like to run.
Yeah, I think we don't necessarily have a strict bot focus. I think our primary game plan is talking about how we play through our mid laner, Kapari. I think Kapari is the best player on the team, hands down. He's just a phenomenal player, and that allows me to be accelerated bot. The feeling of, oh, in 99% of games, their mid can't roam. We have mid vision. My mid has first move. It allows me to do so much more, which translates to my jungler coming down to preferred wave states, to good dives that get me accelerated. Even though my KDAs look good, it's on the back of having a pocket Soraka top and an exceptionally strong mid laner. So we do try to play through bot in a lot of games, but there's more than enough opportunity for us to play through Young on Camille or Kennen and all the carry picks he can pull out too. We're really flexible in that regard.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome, right? Even though you did have a huge role and impact in the series, everyone else coming out with those spotlight moments of their own. And I think that creates, like you said, that beautiful versatility that you can bring in just about everywhere. Finally, to close things out, this is the start of the season, right? We understand that there were some mistakes in the first week here, in this first series. But of course, there's so much room to expand on. Are you excited coming in here to the UAL? Is there a team that you're excited to face, or even are you excited to face Purdue Northwest maybe in the playoffs, right? Is that a team you're watching for, or is there someone else that, at least name-wise, has caught your eye?
Yeah, I'm super excited for the entire season. There's a ton of great teams in here. I'm primarily excited to play against Arizona State because we're good friends with a lot of their former main team roster. Some of them have moved on to independent, like third-party teams and amateur leagues, but we have good friends and connections at ASU, so I'm really excited to play them. I'm also excited to play against the AOE main team. It's always nice to play non-collegiate teams because they really get to pull in the best talent from anywhere, not just who's at their university. So those two teams are something to look out for, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to go far in playoffs, or at least that's the mission.
Alrighty, well there you go. Going from UPL to UAL and showing off some strength here in your team coordination. Keetchie, thank you so much for the interview and congratulations on the victory once again.
Thank you.